course we are. The moment that I realized my freaking
Oh my god. What is happening?
the moment that you said we are live, my laptop was like, oh, by the way, the battery's about to die. I was like, oh.
That's not something you ever handle before we go live. It's always something you do while we're on the podcast.
I didn't realize, okay?
All right. Well, why don't you do the intro?
Welcome to the Pinfall Podcast. My hair looks like shit right now. Happy Saturday. I'm Liz. And I forgot exactly what to do today. And I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Marcus.
Hello. It is I, Marcus.
It's you.
This is the Pinfall Podcast weekly wrestling roundup. We've got a lot in store, starting off with some news, and then we're going to go into the recap of all the wrestling this week. We will also be answering your questions after that. So if you have any questions for us, please leave them in the chat now. If you're watching on YouTube, please leave a comment and we'll get to it in the next one. If you're listening on Spotify, ask us a question at Twitter at Pinfall Podcast. Just DM us or use the hashtag Pinfall Podcast QA. But yeah. And then after that, we will be doing the predictions for AEW's Revolution, which is happening tomorrow. We will be doing a live watch along for that. It'll be a lot of fun. Great show. I assume, looks like a lot of these are going to be great matches. And after that, we've got a little March Madness activity that we've planned. Going to be talking about who is the greatest wrestler of all time. And I guarantee our answers are going to be very different.
Yeah, mine was hard. I was trying not to be biased, but I think I'm pretty biased.
My answers were helped with the backing of ChatGPT. None of them were straight up answered by ChatGPT. I just grabbed some info from it. All right, so why don't we?
You want to start with the news?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, let's see. Let me pull up the news. Question is, where did I bookmark this news? Okay. Normally, I'm careful to always do it in the podcast bookmarks. A little bit of news this week. Nothing crazy though. I didn't have a ton of Wait, hang on. I hope I didn't do the news in the wrong place.
Oh no, is Liz botching it?
I'm botching it a little bit. Oh my god.
You just write down your news in the wrong thing?
No, normally what I do is I bookmark it. Unless did I? Yeah, I bookmark it, and it's not.
So, do you have news?
I swear to God, I looked up the news last night.
All right. Well, let me try and find some stuff.
Oh my god, I feel insane right now.
All right. So, there's not much news that's happened this week. A lot of, the kind of current events of wrestling, so to speak, that we'll be talking about will be while we're talking about the shows. But a little bit of a rumor killer regarding the CM Punk Hangman feud. It was stated that that Punk chose to go over Hangman. But that has turned. It was said by Ryan J. Frederick in some kind of Discord channel. He said Hangman was going to beat Punk at Double or Nothing until the Workers' Rights promo. Punk got it changed, and Tony literally sat on the porch of Punk's house in LA, booking out the summer with Hangman, not anywhere close to being in the mix, because Punk wasn't going to work with him. No way they were going back to him at any point. That turned out not to be true. CM Punk never asked to go over Hangman. There was never any like spite there. So not as villainous as it's been made out to be as of late. I forget who it was that confirmed that that's not true. I think it was Fightful. But yeah. No ill will there.
Did you see that this isn't really news, but did you see that the girl that was made to cry by Rhea Ripley? You got to see Liv Morgan after the match last night.
Yeah. Do you see Rhea Ripley made that crying girl her profile picture?
That's so mean.
It's like it's the Bailey Sasha girl. Oh, what was her name? She ended up being a pain in the ass. Her parents did.
Izzy?
Izzy, yeah. Another little piece of news, I guess is news. Lacey Evans. She took to Instagram and reposted a something on her story about she suddenly, out of nowhere, got the magical cure-all for depression and anxiety. I'm trying to pull it up right now. Oh, there it is. Okay. So, you all want to know 7 ways to fix your mental health. Here you go. This is a scoop. A scoop from Lacey Evans' Instagram. 1. Exercise hard daily. Not the worst piece of advice. Exercise has helped develop serotonin. Eat clean. Not terrible. Also has effects on serotonin levels. 3. Put purpose over pleasure. I don't know about that one.
Don't really know what that means.
Yeah, it's kind of means nothing.
It's vague.
Make a lot more money. Ah, it's that simple. All right. Let me just go out there and make more money.
As a choice, I was making not a lot of money, and now that I realize I should just make more money.
Stop overthinking. Oh, why didn't I think of that? 6. Help others and be kind.
I guess, like,
that's not the worst piece of advice. It is good to help others, but that has nothing to do with your anxiety and depression. 7. Mind your own fucking business. In the age of social media, it's kind of impossible to now mind your own business, especially when people put their business out there for you to mind.
I mean, I guess, like, yeah, if you, like, disconnect from social media, it does help your social or your mental health, but, like, I don't know, man. Not
And
so sure about those, whatever they're called.
all of that advice comes from Bedros. I hope I'm pronouncing this. Actually, I don't care if I pronounce this right. Bedros Keuilian, who is a CEO, and I think he refinances gyms,
Oh,
something like that. So of course he would be telling you to just make more money. Just do it. Just make money.
it's
Poverty
really silly.
solved.
I'm gonna go up to, like, a homeless person tomorrow and be like, "Hey, make more money." They're gonna be like, "Fuck, I was just sitting here in the freezing fucking cold. This was for fun."
Yeah, like genius. Stop overthinking. But in response to that, the bunny actually made a very great post on her Instagram, kind of giving some counters to that. I'm trying to find that one too. Of course, it's all buried here. A lot of it was from her perspective and her, like, you know, her mental
Mhm.
health journey. Um,
While you do this, I'm actually gathering all the news that I had fucking bookmarked yesterday.
oh, good.
Hopefully, it actually bookmarks this time.
All right. Um, the bunny. Man, there's someone fucking screenshotted it. Bunny wrestling. Okay, whatever. But yeah, she made a good post basically saying like that's all bullshit. Um, and
Um,
it's not news that Lacey Evans is dumb. It's
yeah,
just hilarious that somebody actually can believe that.
that she's that stupid.
No, it's that somebody can believe that that stuff works.
Mm,
That that's a
yeah.
cure all for depression and mental health.
I think those are just people that have never had depression, which I actually can't believe that there are people out there that are just like
Hmm.
completely chill. That doesn't make any sense to me, but I'll believe you. Um, okay, so let's talk about some more news. Now that I actually have like my news back. Um, we can talk about um Tony Khan had to specifically say in like a presser um the Eddie Kingston quitting story angle, the story angle,
Yeah,
and is not in fact true.
which we will get to when we get to Dynamite,
Yeah.
but like as far as the specifics go, um, but yeah, the fact that it was shared on their Twitter and Instagram and was in an interview with Lexi Nair saying that he quits, people actually believed that he shoot quit, worked himself into
Yeah.
a shoot. You ever fake quit and get fired?
Um yeah, I just thought it was funny that people really truly believed it. Um but let's see. Okay, so we've also got news about WrestleMania. Apparently what's going to happen, you and I have talked about this. It's apparently going to be Brock and Omos. Which I think is like the stupidest match, but whatever, not the point.
I
Um
disagree, but continue.
um as you told me, that's a Vince match. Um and in addition to that, apparently it was supposed to be Brock versus Bray, and Brock said no.
Mhm.
Simple as that. Said, no,
Which
no.
honestly, the way that Bray Wyatt matches have gone lately, it's smart of Brock to have done that.
Yeah.
um, also pitched was Brock and Gunther. But the match that's currently slated seems a lot better, which is Gunther, Drew, and Sheamus in triple threat. That's gonna be fucking bananas.
It's gonna be great.
Um, personally, I don't see Omos versus Brock as a terrible thing because at least like the match will be probably like sub 5 minutes, but at least Brock is fighting like someone young, and not taking like a main event slot. Like he's not fighting Roman for the 50th time. He's not fighting Gunther for the IC title. I'd rather see Drew and Sheamus there. I'd rather see Brock versus Gunther like a B pay-per-view. Um but my only wish would be somehow Omos wins, but we know that's not going to happen. Um I found
Yeah.
a little bit to add on to this. Apparently Brock was saying his goodbyes. He was saying goodbyes to people on Raw. And this feels like he's kind of on his way out, according to sources.
Let's pray.
And the way he's kind of been like checked out, it's not shocking. I wonder if this match against Omos will kind of, it'll be a weird one to be his last one, but Kurt Angle's last match was against Corbin, so
Mm.
um maybe there's going to be another one at Backlash as like the final Brock Lesnar match.
I don't know, because, like, wouldn't you want your final match to be at WrestleMania?
Maybe, but I don't know. Brock also seems like the I don't know. I want to say he seems like the storytelling kind of guy. I would rather like tell a story at a at a Backlash rather than just like rush something out at Mania.
Mhm.
Um Especially that promo on Raw between him and MVP. That was so great. The way Brock was like, "I don't care, just sell me the match."
I didn't get to see that.
Oh, it was great. It was like laid back Brock and MVP just like being a salesman. It was great.
Um, Additionally, in Bray Wyatt news, um, apparently that horror film that he was supposed to be working on, which I completely forgot was a thing
Hmm.
until just, like, yesterday, I guess, um, that is now on hold, as one could expect. Um, in 2021 summertime, he was rumored to be working on a film, um, a horror film with Colosseum Studios, their their owner, Jason Baker, and that they were planning to begin filming at the end of November of 2021.
Hmm.
But obviously, a lot of time has passed, and that is now on hold.
I thought they finished
Which is,
shooting because he posted pictures. Bray posted pictures on set.
you know, what I'm saying is that now they said that they were going to begin shooting in November 2021, but
Mm,
now obviously all that's on hold.
right.
Um, Not just the shooting, like the actual film itself. Which is almost kind of a shame because I was like kind of excited to see what he was cooking up.
Yeah, but if you think about it, the whole Bray Wyatt storytelling creativity, like if you were to imagine it in a movie, it wouldn't be super original. It wouldn't be super unique, but because it's in a wrestling setting, it really works.
Mhm.
Um, Aside from Uncle Howdy, you know, just
Yeah.
forget about that. Um, like the contrast between the horror and the goofiness with the fighting competition seriousness, it that's what makes it interesting in my opinion.
Yeah. I
I'd
get
still
that.
be very interested to see what he cooks up, but
Yeah. But I don't know if we ever will.
they
Um,
might just be waiting for like distribution money or something. I feel like,
well, also Bray may have been a pretty big part of it, and if they oh no, if they did finish shooting,
yeah.
then I guess maybe. Um, I don't know. Um, Also more news. Of course it's more news. This is the new segment. Um, the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring premium live events. It took me so fucking long to figure out what PLE stood for. I was like sitting here like, did I miss something? Like, do I
Mm-hmm.
not know the term? Um, but the King and Queen of the Ring live event is going to take place and guess where?
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Whatever.
Oh man.
Can't escape it. Um Also, we'll talk about this I think maybe a little bit later. Um, but Yuya Uemura was apparently injured um on the 25th of February during a taped match. I
Which,
think
which
you
hasn't
told me.
it hasn't aired yet.
It hasn't aired yet, but apparently he was injured, and he has since said that he is good. The match was apparently stopped due to potential injury, but he's fine.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I think it was a match against Sammy Callahan. I think. Um,
Don't know.
I think if I remember correctly, which might or might not be. Um, it was he was taking the pile driver finish.
Oh, the cactus driver.
Yeah, Cactus Driver 98 or whatever. 97,
It's 99,
96,
99, I think.
95, 2000.
Um, Also in other news, Brett DiBiase. Um, he pled guilty to one count of conspiracy to defraud the United States.
Who?
Brett DiBiase, as in child of DiBiase,
Oh,
of the DiBiase family.
I thought Ted DiBiase's son was Ted DiBiase Jr.
I think Brett DiBiase might be another son.
Oh.
I don't think that they just put Brett DiBiase's name into an article and just don't explain it without it being one of the DiBiases.
Hmm.
The DiBiases. But yeah, the apparently, according to Fightful, the federal charges are in connection with the state's largest welfare embezzlement scandal. Um, I just thought that was interesting. And also the Bella twins are up to some shit now where they're going to host a new social experiment dating show on Amazon Prime called Twin Love, which is a
Twin
weird title to
Love?
start with. Twin Love, yes.
Yeah, that is a weird name.
Um, yeah. Um, and the again, this is from Amazon, according to Fightful. Twin love is a social dating experience like no other, blending the specificity of being a twin, someone born quite literally with a biological soulmate, with the universality of being single and searching for lasting romantic love. Um, I guess it says that it's an experiment that explores the love lives of identical twins, where 10 sets of twins are going to be split up and placed into two houses of identical casts. So I guess you're taking 10 sets of twins, which means 20
Yeah,
people.
kind of a Love Island situation. Putting them on an island and
I just heard noise and it sounded like the cat doing something. Um, it's gonna be a really confusing show to watch.
yeah, yeah. They gotta like put name tags on everyone.
Yeah, like slap it on their forehead. Um, Now we also have two other pieces of news, or three other pieces of news. One is that Eddie Edwards signed a new deal with Impact,
Hey,
which is good. Um, I think that Impact needs him. Um,
even though he hasn't done
and
shit
then
on TV in a while.
I think that it's good to have a good like standby
Mm-hmm.
person.
Good main eventer.
Um, we also do have some information on Miss Naomi.
Ooh.
Yeah, so Naomi, or Trinity Fatu, as she's going by now, I believe, is currently recovering from a shoulder injury. Um, the Ariane Andrew, who is Cameron. I don't know if you remember Cameron from WWE. She and
Mm-hmm.
Naomi were in the Funkadactyls. Um, Apparently, she had according to Ariane Andrew, she had shoulder surgery and she's recovering from that. Um, so there's no real news as to when she will be back in the ring. But with that said, she is going to be attending the third and fourth session of WrestleCon, April 1st and April 2nd. Believe it's just in like a hey, what's up kind of role as opposed to like an actual wrestling role, but still kind of exciting that we're gonna get to see her again. sometime soon.
Yeah.
And it seems like she's still interested in being involved in the wrestling scene.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean, as we saw last year, WrestleCon's a lot of fun. I'm excited for this year.
Yeah.
Um, so that's interesting. Is there any more news that we've got?
We got one last piece of news, and it's actually probably the biggest piece of news. And it's unfortunately a sort of misconstrued piece of news at the same time. In that Sonya Deville was arrested in New Jersey for carrying a firearm without the permit, which she
In
has the
her
permit in
car.
Florida. Yeah, yeah. Without the proper permit. Um, but it doesn't matter because her permit is valid in Florida. Her permit was not valid in New Jersey. So one way or the other, she really didn't have a permit um, to carry it there.
Hmm.
Um, so she got arrested for that. I believe that she probably um I don't believe that like anything is going to happen. Apparently, she's getting the case thrown out. Um, but she apparently started carrying it after the home invasion that happened uh last year. Last year?
Yeah, I think it was last year.
2020. It was
Oh,
2020. Jesus
2020.
Christ.
Say
Time flies.
say what you will about the whole firearm like debate, but you can't blame her for wanting self-defense after that.
Oh
Like
no.
that is like all she has to do is present the news articles that were about that whole situation to get the case thrown out.
Yeah, I think that's why like I said, she is in the process of getting the case thrown out. Um so um I think they'll be understanding, hopefully.
Yeah.
Um I do feel bad though because apparently what happened was she was getting her car valeted because she was um out celebrating something that Fightful just says celebrating with her fiance.
Oh,
Um,
they got engaged. That just
it's a
happened.
woman, right?
Yeah.
Well, then Fightful used the wrong word, wrong fiance, wrong form of it. They wrote FIANCE. There's two E's if it's a woman,
Oh.
and there's no accent.
Well, maybe it's
Anyways,
preference.
maybe. Um, it's you don't identify anything like differently, like with your pronouns, but you're like, as far as fiance goes, I have very specific preferences on that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, they were out celebrating, and her car was being valeted, and that's when the firearm was found, which fucking sucks.
Yeah. Why was the valet snooping in her car?
I mean, I guess like was it just like
I assume it was in the glove compartment.
yeah, because I mean, assuming that there are two people in the car, you would imagine that the person in the passenger seat is not sitting on top of the gun. So obviously she didn't just like leave it on like the seat.
Unless there was like a seat holster kind of thing.
I
But
don't know.
I assume it would have to be in the center console or the glove compartment.
Yeah,
I don't
I don't
know.
know.
Or like a
But anyways,
lockbox in the car.
yeah, I don't know. I was kind of surprised that I don't know how gun permits work actually, but I guess I was kind of surprised that New Jersey was strict about that.
I mean, yeah, permit's a permit, so um it's
Also,
also like
like
it's New Jersey. I don't think it's gonna last.
I guess like my thing is like I almost understand if she was pulled over, the cop saw the gun, was like, "Hey, do you have a permit for that?"
Yeah.
She said, and then it like all fell apart from there. But the fact that the valet, it sounds like the valet was like searching for shit in a sense because like how would the valet know that she one is not permitted to have that in New Jersey? You know?
I mean, yeah, the valet would have had to like call the cops.
Yeah, like the valet would have had to see the gun and like bothered by that in a sense, which I guess I'd be bothered if I saw a gun too, but I wouldn't just automatically assume that somebody didn't have the permits for it,
You know,
especially someone like Sonya Deville.
this is where Lacey Evans's advice comes into play. Mind your own fucking business.
Do you think that the valet's got like really bad anxiety right now?
Yeah, would be solved if he just minded his own business.
Should have mind your own business.
All right, you want to talk about some wrestling this past week?
Uh, yeah, sure.
All right, so we're not going to talk about every detail because we do have a lot to talk about after this.
Yeah.
But we had Raw. Raw was very interesting. We had Street Profits versus Jimmy Uso and Sol Sikoa, which was a very fun match. And I figured they would use that as an excuse to have Jimmy and Solo lose. But no.
Yeah.
They won. Shockingly.
Relatively easily.
Yeah, no funny business at all. We also had the VIP lounge with featuring Brock Lesnar, which was it was a fun segment. Brock was like, I'm not gonna F5 you, I promise. Oh no, I'm not gonna suplex you, I promise. Let's just, sell me the match. And MVP turns into salesman mode, sells it. They cheers over some alcohol, but Brock says, nope, no champagne. We're gonna drink some of my stuff, and he pulls out a flask. I assumed it was like whiskey or moonshine or something. They didn't specify. Probably homegrown shit. MVP's like,
I wouldn't drink anything Brock handed me.
MVP's like adamant, like, yeah, I'm good. Just gonna have some champagne if you don't mind. But Brock takes insult to that F5's MVP because he promised he wouldn't suplex him. And then that confirms Omos and Brock at Mania. Over under 5 minutes.
I'd give it over by like maybe a minute.
So 6 minutes. All right.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
I say over by like a second, like barely over 5 minutes.
Okay.
We then had Cody Rhodes versus Chad Gable, which was so good. And it really helps that this match also like happened around the same time that it was reported that Chad Gable might be getting a singles run soon. I assume that's what Otis joining Maximum Male Models is going to lead to.
Yeah.
But yeah, wonderful match between these two. I love that Cody's kind of getting in these reps before Mania. And putting on some great matches too. Let's see, what else do we have? Asuka versus Carmella, where Asuka picked up the win. We had a very short match between Doudrop and Candice LeRae, where Candice actually surprisingly won under 5 minutes. With a roll up. Looks like we're getting Finn Balor versus Johnny Gargano next week, which is going to be bananas.
I'm excited for that.
We had a Miz TV where he announced he's going to be hosting WrestleMania, but Seth Rollins comes out. And then we get some, I think we got like a thing between him and Logan Paul or something. Got some more tease for that. But yeah, Miz will be hosting WrestleMania, which isn't a bad choice. He's a good mic person.
He's a good mic person. Get it? I mean, it also makes sense that he's like a Hollywood guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Although LA Knight should host it. That makes sense. LA, Los Angeles.
They want people to watch it.
Oh, LA Knight's a ratings draw. He's like the bunny. He is a ratings magnet. You get him to Mania, you get him hosting Mania, suddenly it's like the NBA Finals.
Do you have stats to back this up, or?
The bunny did pull better ratings than SmackDown when Rampage and SmackDown were happening at the same time. So yes, that is to back up my information. LA Knight could do the same thing.
No, I was not doubting the bunny at all. I was doubting LA Knight.
Why would you doubt LA Knight?
It's actually pretty easy.
Yeah. um, LA Knight, like they should have a match between LA Knight and The Miz, to see who hosts Mania. That would also be a fun little feud. Those guys, the promos between each other would be hilarious.
Those would be funny.
Um, who would be the face though? You gotta have one person be the face.
Maurice.
It'd have to be LA Knight after the feud with Bray, right?
Yeah.
I would love to see LA Knight host Mania. That'd be so funny. We then had Bobby Lashley versus Elias, which was again very short. Bobby won with a hurt lock. But then he called out Bray after the match, and on the Tron, Bray was doing his muscle man dance, mocking Bobby Lashley's sweatband days when he was the Muscle Man.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll lead into SmackDown, which we'll get to. We then had Otis versus Johnny Gargano, which was decently fun. And then, to top it all off, Lita and Becky Lynch versus Damage Control for the women's tag championships. And I'm not upset by this match at all, but I was hoping this would be a big win for Dakota and Io, because it's kind of the thing they needed. But Lita and Becky won, and you gotta assume they're gonna go into Mania as champs.
Yeah.
I wonder what they're gonna do. You know?
I think my problem is that I don't like when people come back from not being on TV for years.
Part-timers?
Um, not like that's not even part-time. That's like high school reunion. That's
Mm-hmm.
like what, and like when they come back and then they win a belt, like what?
Well, Lita
Doesn't make any sense to me.
she was on a pay-per-view last year.
I guess.
Um,
1 year ago.
yeah, it's the whole wrestling trope of like the older you get, the better you are, you know, and when it should be the opposite. Um, but I don't know what this will mean at Mania, but seeing like story wise, it kind of makes a little bit of sense. You know, Becky and Lita kind of they dismantled their feud between each other and are now teaming up, and it's kind of sweet. Maybe Dakota and Io will win it back at Mania. Maybe the worst case scenario is we get Becky and Lita versus Ronda and Shayna. That's the worst case. And Ronda and Shayna win. Yeah, not the best, but
I hadn't even thought about that.
maybe we'll get Becky. No, because Trish is a face. Never mind.
Yeah, people are wondering if Trish is like actually back, and I was like,
I wonder if they'll do Trish versus Bailey, because that might be the Mania match.
that'd be interesting.
That'd be a pretty good feud. But yeah, that's Raw. We didn't watch NXT. But apparently, I think this week they did Carmelo Hayes versus Tyler Bate. Apparently, that was fantastic.
I'm sure it was.
Or maybe that was last week. But I do want to get back into watching NXT consistently because it has gotten more must watch apparently.
I mean, I would just watch it for Carmelo at this point.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. Apparently, Braun and the Creed brothers had a bark off and apparently the Creed brothers really outbarked Braun.
What the fuck?
Like Braun did not bring it. We then had Dynamite. We started off with Orange Cassidy versus Big Bill for the Atlantic Championship. This was such a fun match. Big
Yeah.
Bill is like every match Big Bill has, he brings it. He proves he's like not just a big dude, but he is a charismatic dude. He's a storytelling dude. He can make the crowd pop. He's someone who can really work the crowd.
His taunts are really fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's great as a face and a heel. No matter what he chooses, no matter what he's given, he rocks it. And then Orange Cassidy had to win this with like 3 orange punches, the last one being a top rope orange punch. So although, Big Bill lost, it's not like he didn't, it's not like he got chumped.
Yeah.
We then had a promo from Mox, and Mox was bleeding buckets in this promo. This was like right after the match against Evil Uno, where he got busted open. And he's dripping blood, pools of blood on the stairs as he's giving this promo. Like his one eye is like shut and like covered in blood. God, this was intense. Great lead up for the Texas Death match, I guess. Because Mox just said Texas Death, didn't say match.
Yeah, I know. He's like, just Texas death. One of us is gonna die. That's it.
But up next, we've got a little bit of a controversial thing, which I'm going to get your opinion about. So the Elite, they come out and then are immediately interrupted by House of Black. The lights shut off, they're beat up, and then that's that. The House of Black steals the belts, and then they're out. Does it seem like the Elite is kind of phoning it in at this point? They feel checked out. Because to me, it seems like it.
I don't know about. Yeah, I don't know. It does feel a little bit like they're like not as passionate as they used to be. That's for sure.
Like, think about what went into the feud between Kenny and Hangman. Think about the whole belt collector stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Both those storylines were phenomenal. Some of the best that AEW's had. And now look at this. Whenever the Elite is seen, they're like in a basketball court or like for 2 seconds, and someone flips a light switch. Like, they come out for some good matches. It seems like they're just around to have some fun matches and then, let their contracts run out.
Mm.
Which sucks, because, like, it's all Elite Wrestling. It's their company.
Doesn't seem like they don't. Yeah, I think it's hard because it's like it just doesn't seem like they want to do the promos anymore.
Imagine being like Malachi Black, someone who is like stellar at storytelling. Like, that's what he is about. And then an incredible wrestler as well. He's told, all right, you guys are next in line for the Trios belts. You're going to have a feud against the Elite. Malachi's like, all right, awesome. Hell yeah. What's the first segment? So the Elite's going to come out. You're going to turn off the light switch. What? Is that it? Is there more? You guys, beat each other up for 2 seconds and then walk out. Oh. Okay. It's like, Malachi has had some of the best stories in NXT. Was given phenomenal presentation when he was in WWE, not on the main roster. But when he was working under Triple H, he had incredible presentation. He was a scary looking dude. When he came to AEW, he was pretty fucking scary looking. Pretty scary.
Mm-hmm.
When he was working under Cody, although it wasn't like the best storyline, It's better than what he has now. It's better than working with the fucking elite. You would think that working with the elite would be the best deal you can get in AEW if you're not the elite. Like that should be where your peak is in your story, is working with the elite. You're working with the boss.
Yeah. I uh I think it's kind of upsetting, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm hoping for Revolution, House of Black takes those belts. The elite, I don't know. I don't know when their contracts are done, but at this point, AEW's shown that they don't need the elite at all. So I'm hoping that, the elite kind of says goodbye to AEW. All
Where would they
wrestling.
go? Mm.
Um, I think they're in good hands right now. Especially how,
Well,
if we're talking like backstage, Jericho has been adamant that he's not going to WWE, he's not leaving AEW, and then he's definitely probably like the best person to have backstage right now.
yeah, I just wonder where the elite would go.
Hasn't Kenny expressed interest in WWE?
WWE's expressed interest in Kenny.
I feel like given Kenny's injuries, WWE would be best. Um, he'd be able to work lighter, work less. Um, especially in like a Roman Reigns match, you're not exactly exerting yourself like you would be in a New Japan match.
Mm.
Um, he's got to lose that belt first, U.S. belt.
Yeah.
Um, and that's a whole nother discussion. Um, but anyway, we had the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Phenomenal match. Introduction for Commander in AEW. Phenomenal stuff. Hobbs won, but people are a little outraged.
What the fuck?
People are outraged by holding the ladder.
So that Hobbs doesn't break his neck falling off of it, I guess.
Yeah, it's like it's not a new thing. It's been a thing for 90% of wrestling's history. It's a normal
I would
thing for for refs to hold ladders.
I would love for anybody who's complaining to go up on a broken ass ladder, like that ladder was broken ass.
It was messed up.
It wouldn't even stand on its own. Like they literally had to have the refs to hold it in the first place. I'd like them to climb up to the literal top step, the one you're not supposed to stand on, stand up, and then find their way back down without anybody holding that ladder. I would love to see it. Like, what is he supposed to do?
He's a big dude too. If he was standing on that
Yeah,
without refs holding it, he'd be done. He would have fallen off. That's the last thing we want to see.
yeah. I don't get it.
It's like when you're going up to paint your house or something, paint your walls, or go up to the roof. You want someone holding that ladder. If I'm
Yeah.
changing lights in the studio, I want someone holding that ladder. I'm afraid of heights.
Yeah, I mean, when I worked in theater, you always had to have somebody holding your ladder. Like,
Yeah.
you weren't allowed to just go up on ladders, like, even the ones that were not broken.
And it's not like a afraid of heights thing either, especially with Hobbs. It's just like that shit's dangerous. That ladder was messed up. He was on the very top step, and
Mhm.
he had something in his hand too. Like
Yeah.
his hand was full. It's like so dumb. We've seen a lot of botches with ladders because there should have been better. Like refs should have been holding it better. We don't want to see that shit on national TV.
Yeah. I'd rather see 15 refs holding a ladder than watch Hobbs, fucking die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um. So next up, we had an interview with the best friends, and this is also like some lame shit. So apparently, Chuck and Trent in kayfabe are not cleared for the battle royal. That's all in kayfabe. They are cleared in real life. It's just the attack from whoever it was. I think it was the Guns or something. Um, they're not cleared for it, so Danhausen and Orange Cassidy step up. Like every turn, the best friends are shafted. This sucks.
Yeah,
They should be in this match.
I don't get it.
Give Orange a All Atlantic title defense. You know, have him
It doesn't.
defend against fucking Rusev or Miro. Get Miro back on fucking TV and fight for that belt. Um, I'm gonna pull up the AEW roster right now, and there's gonna be like 15 names that could do with another spot on that show. Let's see, Andrade. For an All Atlantic title match, Anthony Gogo, Bandito, Brian Cage, Christopher Daniels, Daniel Garcia. Like, and I only got to the D's. There are already so many people who could have done with the match. Stupid. It's stupid. And we know AEW. We know they're trying to get every match they can on a pay-per-view card, which makes sense. You want it to be worth it for the people. We do complain that like they go too long, but at the same time, it's not something we can fault AEW for because they're just trying to get as much shit in as possible with quarterly pay-per-views. But it is what it is. After that, we had Chris Jericho versus Peter Avalon, which was not very long. Jericho won with a code breaker. Some more stuff between Jericho and Ricky after the match. Jack Perry, when Christian Cage comes out for an interview, Jack Perry is seen on the Tron digging a grave for Christian, and the headstone is like made of foam. Like that is very obviously foam. And I like to imagine in kayfabe it's also foam.
See, conversely, I like to imagine in kayfabe that it's an actual gravestone, and those things cost fucking money, like a lot. So I love the idea of him being like, "I'm committing so hard to this that I'm going to drop a couple thousand."
He's like at the headstone store. He's like, oh, yeah, it's Christian Christian Cage Cage.
He's not actually dead yet, so
And
don't put NDAs yet.
like Anna Jay is like with him, and she's like, "What are you doing? Why do you have a headstone? Like, it's for a bit. Don't worry about it."
Ignore this. Ignore this.
But Jack Perry says it's going to be a final burial, which is apparently the name for this match. And then they also mention it on Rampage. That's where they give it like the official name, the final burial.
Mm-hmm.
I think on Dynamite they say it was like a buried alive match or something. But on Rampage they say it's the final burial.
Which is cooler.
Yeah. Let's see. We also had Matt Hardy versus Hook for the FTW title, where if Hook won, he'd face Stokely Hathaway with no members of the firm at ringside, and no DQ. Which doesn't make sense. Because if it's no DQ, what's stopping a member from the firm running out there?
Scouts honor, baby.
It was all Matt Hardy and Ethan Page's idea too for that stipulation. But Hook wins with the red rum, and Stokely breaks down after the match. I don't know where the match is happening. I think it's happening next week. But it's so funny. This story is really good. Everything like around this, the whole Matt Hardy, Ethan Page stuff, the Isaiah Cassidy moaning bits, the Stokely Hook stuff. It's all gold. It's great stuff.
Yeah, it's very underrated.
Yeah. Um, we then had Tony Storm versus Riho. Riho wins the roll up. Very fun match. Shocking win too, considering Tony feels like she's much higher on the card than Riho.
Hmm.
And then we had the Casino Battle Royal, which didn't see any Joker or anything, but apparently in tag team Casino Battle Royals there are no Jokers. There's never been a Joker before. Only the singles. So no FTR.
Yeah.
No surprise there. Um, Instead we got Dark Order, Blackpool Combat Club, Wilson, La Faction Ingobernable, Lucha Bros, Aussie Open, 2.0, Top Flight, The Kingdom, Danhausen, Orange Cassidy, and Butcher and the Blade. Uh, it was a fun match, but would have loved to see a little surprise.
Yeah.
Also would have loved to see Orange
Correction.
Cassidy sell that injury a bit more.
Yeah.
But Danhausen and Orange Cassidy picked up the win, and they're going to Revolution for that fatal 4-way.
I just don't get it. What's the point of having Trent and Chuck if like you're not going to use Trent and Chuck in like the one capacity that like you would use Trent and Chuck?
I mean, remember the fucking what was the backlot brawl between them and Santana and Ortiz? Like they have proven to be stars and put on great matches, and I don't know, maybe Tony Khan's just like too much of a numbers guy. He's looking at the numbers, sees Orange Cassidy's the draw here, Danhausen's a merch seller.
Yeah.
But in that case, give them separate matches. Put Danhausen on the
Yeah.
pre-show against, I don't know, uh fucking Billy Gunn or Big
Isaiah
Bill.
Cassidy.
Isaiah Cassidy. Yeah.
That'd be a funny match.
Danhausen versus Isaiah Cassidy. There you go. That's it. And Orange Cassidy can defend the belt against some dude. Some dude who needs a match.
Isaiah Cassidy.
Double
Orange
duty.
Cassidy versus Isaiah Cassidy.
Oh god. Look, Orange Cassidy versus Ethan Page. There you go. Sticks with the feud. You're good. Although is that the feud right now? Or are they feuding with Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal? I don't even know. No, because Orange fought Big Bill.
Yeah.
Ethan Page. There you go. That's the match. All right, we had Impact. Impact was great this week. They announced early on that there'd be a title match between Motor City Machine Guns and Bullet Club, the Ace and Bay connection. We had the first match, Shane Haste versus Mike Bailey. Great stuff. This was a great match. I mean, how could you doubt Mike Bailey and then Shane Haste as well with this new rejuvenation since leaving WWE?
Shane looks great.
Yeah, yeah. He's living life, representing TMDK on Impact. And the crowd chanted, "We want Zach." And don't we all want Mike Bailey versus Zach? That would be, oh God, wouldn't that be stellar? That'd be a magical match.
That'd be stupidly fun.
Instant 10 stars right there. Mike Bailey wins with the Ultima Weapon, also coolest name for finisher ever. We had Kenny King versus Kevin Knight. King wins with Royal Flush. Also, our sling stopped working at some point. I don't remember which point it stopped at. Oh, it was just before the PCO and Trey Miguel match.
Hey, Miguel match, yeah.
So we missed another Santino Dango promo. But that's
this part of it.
there was like there was a second part.
Was there a second one?
Yeah. But PCO versus Trey Miguel, not for the title, ended in DQ because Eddie Edwards came out and attacked PCO with a
Yeah.
shovel. And then we had the main event, Bullet Club versus Motor City Machine Guns. Bullet Club wins in an excellent match with the fold. Now Chris Bay and Ace Austin are tag champs, which is phenomenal. Too
To
sweet.
be fair, it was the art of finesse and then the fold. It was like one rapidly after the other.
Yeah,
So
that's their like tag team combo.
give Chris Bay his flowers where it's due.
Yeah. Yeah. Love seeing Chris Bay with gold. Love seeing Ace Austin with gold. Both these guys are phenomenal. And hopefully they get to hold on to them for a while.
Yeah.
And I wonder where Motor City Machine Guns were kind of heelish in the match. Like
A little bit.
they were using some heel tactics, distracting the ref, the other guy attacking the legal man. I wonder what their plan is now.
Yeah.
Like are they I could see them honestly going to WWE. I know that's like kind of the thing is like everyone going to WWE, but I could see them especially.
I don't want it.
You don't want it?
I don't want it.
The
The tech has to have something.
WWE does need to revamp their tag division,
That is true.
and they could use Motor City Machine Guns. Although I don't know if they could legally or not legally, but if they could use Guns as a tag team name. You know?
Why?
Cuz like I feel like they care so much about like especially with like the YouTube algorithm, and they get a lot of numbers on there, and if Guns in the name, then that affects their numbers, and it the algorithm drops them because they have gun in the name. Or like child audiences, I don't know. I feel like they would have something they'd have a problem with machine gun in the name.
It's possible. I didn't think about that.
Maybe they just changed the name to Detroit Boys. keep this.
I don't want it. I don't want it.
They just name him Time Machine. There you go. Get Kushida back.
I don't think Kushida wants to come back, but anything is possible.
We also had the very first Ring of Honor show. It was a lot of fun, but it also felt like AEW Dark. That was just match after match after match after match, and they're fitting in like 8 matches in 2 hours. But it felt like NXT too. It's got like that same presentation as NXT.
Yeah.
Which isn't a terrible thing. It's a better version of NXT's presentation. Less bright lights, a little dimmer.
Yeah.
Started off with a great match, Slim J versus Mark Briscoe. That was some great stuff. Mark wins with the J Driller. We had the Infantry, which is Sean Dean and Carly Bravo, almost said Briscoe, versus the Kingdom, and the Kingdom wins the Proton Pack. Then we had a phenomenal match between Zack Sabre Jr. and Blake Christian for the New Japan TV title. Zack wins. Again, phenomenal match when Zack caught Blake doing the tope into the cravat. Amazing stuff. We had Christopher Daniels versus Rohit Raju. Daniels wins with the best moonsault ever. Looks like we're setting up the tag division. We've got Rhett Titus and Tracy Williams in a feud with Aussie Open, seems like. I'm hoping Aussie Open sticks around Ring of Honor. Especially if that's kind of like the show that's crossed New Japan as well.
Yeah.
Josh Woods versus Konosuke Takeshita. Phenomenal match. Phenomenal. And then we got some respect afterwards. Josh Woods isn't just a cheap heel. He's given respect to Takeshita because he's always been the honor guy in Ring of Honor. The pure rules were always his rules. Great stuff. We then had the Embassy versus Joe Keys, Rex Lawless, and LSG. Easy Embassy win. Ari Daivari versus Metalik, formerly Mascara Dorada, formerly Grand Metalik. So Dorada got his Metalik name back from WWE. But Daivari wins with a trust bust. We had Madison Rain and Sky Blue versus the Renegades. Rain and Blue win that. Wheeler Yuta made an open challenge for his Pure Championship, and guess who answered the call? It was Mr. Timothy Thatcher. So that's going to be it seems like they're not making this a dark. Instead, they're making this to be like an NXT, but like actually fill it with a great card every week, because
Yeah.
that's a phenomenal match. And I like. I'm hoping this isn't just like, oh, it's the first show, so we got to pack it to the brim.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they do a lot more. We also had Lady Frost versus Willow Nightingale. First time we see Lady Frost on TV since the whole debacle with Impact.
Yeah, which is nice. I'm glad.
Yeah, she's really great. Willow wins though. With the Doctor Bomb. And then we had the main event, Claudio Castagnoli versus AR Fox for the Ring of Honor Championship. Claudio wins with a European uppercut. Really great stuff. That was an excellent match. And then Eddie Kingston comes out and challenges him after people were making a big fuss about him quitting.
I just loved Claudio's like, not again.
Yeah. And Mox can't stop him in Ring of Honor.
What he said.
All right, so then we had SmackDown. Roman Reigns opened the show. Cody came out, and we had an excellent promo between the two. Really, really phenomenal stuff between them. There was a little bit out of context that we won't get into.
Roman just needs to talk in different words sometimes, I think.
Yeah, but you know, we saw an extremely passionate side from Cody, saying like, this is no longer a desire, this is no longer something I want, this is no longer, just a match. I need this. I need to win this. It is a necessity. And phenomenal stuff. And easily A tier build to Mania.
Yeah, I've heard some people say that like Roman kind of destroyed Cody.
No, I don't think so. I mean, isn't that kind of the point though? He's like the mountain for Cody to climb. We don't want them to pull an AEW and have the challenger like very obviously gonna win. There's got to be some
Yeah.
doubt. I think people are so used to that AEW booking that they think, oh, the Cody's obviously gonna win this, so he should be built as like the top guy. Tony Khan always forgets who the top guy actually is in the moment, and just remembers the challenger. But first match of SmackDown, we had Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. Liv taps out to the Cloverleaf, I think it was. We then had you wrote some weird notes here. Santos challenges Dominic Mysterio to a match, which we get. Dom wins with a frog splash after a little bit of a shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Drew McIntyre comes out, calls out Gunther, but then Sheamus comes out. And this whole thing was so great because they're like, Sheamus is like so sincere. He's like, you were my friend. You're stabbing me in the back by doing this. You knew I wanted to challenge Gunther. You knew how much this meant to me. But Drew's like, you had your shot. You lost twice. It's time to move on.
He's not wrong.
He's not, but also Sheamus isn't wrong either. They're both right.
Like, why is also this is like one of the things that like happens in wrestling where I'm just like, why didn't y'all just talk about this real quick before you went out?
Well,
I check a little chit chat real quick.
I think that's the whole point. Like Drew wanted to make this formal announcement, but Sheamus wanted them to talk in the back. Wished they had had this discussion. That's why they were like chatting it in the ring as LA Knight comes out next. Not looking at LA Knight at all. They're just, bickering in the ring. But the thing is,
Upset though. I really liked their friendship.
but it's not over, cuz as we see, like they don't become enemies with each other. They don't attack each other. New Day then comes out, followed by Karrion Cross. And Xavier Woods, I think, is pushed into Drew. Sheamus gets his back by taking out Woods or LA Knight or Cross or whoever it was. So they're still allies, they're still friends, and they have a little face off in the ring. Drew like charges at Sheamus, making us think he's gonna Claymore kick him, but instead topes
Almost
onto.
knocks his fucking head onto the apron.
I think it was only Kofi that caught him too. I think
It was
everyone
it
else
was
kind of like did
Kofi
their
and
own
just
thing.
barely a little bit of somebody else. I don't remember who.
Yeah. And like this is like the type of shit you need. Not everything can be a title. Not everything can be like I'm climbing the mountain. You need like these friendships. These not very clear face heel stuff.
I I think this is almost worse in my opinion. Not like in like a content like quality way, but like
Emotionally.
yeah, because like we've seen Drew and Sheamus kind of beat each other up. We've seen them punch each other and shit like that.
Hmm.
And they ended up friends afterwards. This is almost worse because it's like they're not beating each other up. Like Sheamus is just fucking hurt.
Yeah. And
You
and
know, it's like
yeah. And it's all gonna culminate at Mania, which is like this is this is good shit. This is why people love Triple H booking this stuff, because he does stuff like this. Um, friendships and allies between wrestlers matter. Um,
um
did you see all the shit Sheamus has been
yeah.
tweeting?
Sheamus is like what is it, sliding?
His first tweet after SmackDown, which was backstabbing bastard after backstabbing bastard after backstabbing bastard. And then the et tu brute, when he's photoshopped his face onto Caesar's, and then Drew's onto one of the people that killed him.
Yeah, Brutus.
Brutus, yeah. Oh my god, really, really great stuff. And it's just stuff like this that makes wrestling so compelling. You know, Xavier Woods has been saying for so long on Up Up Down Down that like wrestling needs friendships,
Mm-hmm.
not just to take away. Because I don't think this friendship's gonna like fizzle after Mania. I think it'll still like stick around, but it's just a plot point.
Um,
We
real
then,
quick.
yeah.
Our cat just came in here and it scared the shit out of me because like I just see like this like moving black mass coming through the bottom of the door and I was like, now she's in here screaming at me. Isn't that right?
We then
I think
had
so.
Shayna Baszler versus Tegan Knox. Shayna wins with the Kirifuda clutch. Then we've okay. For the thing everyone's talking about, the cream of the crop, the pièce de la résistance.
Oh dear.
Bobby Lashley comes out, and he cuts a promo on Bray. Then Uncle Howdy appears. The next in line for the Universal Championship. Uncle Howdy. He it's really funny because like all the the mysticism is gone once like Uncle Howdy charges at Bobby, but then Bobby just lays him out with a fucking choke slam. But then Uncle Howdy disappears, But it's like, dude, how are we supposed to believe this guy is like a fucking mystical entity if he's doing elbow drops onto tables and getting choke slammed by Bobby Lashley?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
I
dude.
don't know what we're supposed to expect from that.
But he's got the best counter to the Hurt Lock. All he has to do is hold his lapel and he can't Hurt Lock him. Oh my god, this is garbage. This whole Uncle Howdy stuff is so
Such a
bad.
fucking shame. So
Like
excited for it.
I I love Bray. I think when he's at his best, he is phenomenal. But this ain't it. Now every
No, this
time
is
I see Bray, it's like, God damn it, what are you doing?
They
Unless
just got a
it's
sick fucking walkout.
and Firefly Funhouse is still good.
Yeah.
Um, and then we ended the night with Solo Sikoa versus Sami Zayn, which was a great match. Solo wins with the Samoan Spike, and Sammy. But before they can put the hurt on Sammy after the match, Sammy gets free, runs away, gets the upper hand, and Roman
Well,
is disappointed.
he doesn't just get free, he like hits Solo with a chair.
Yeah,
Throws a chair at Solo.
throws a chair at Solo. Huluva kicks Jimmy. Tries to throw the chair at Solo again, but Solo just knocked that shit away. And then Sammy runs up to the audience. I always get I get so anxious when wrestlers go into the
Go
audience.
into the audience. I do too.
Like,
I'm like,
terrifying.
yeah, I don't trust people, especially not wrestling fans.
Especially if they go like, really high up. Because people front row, they paid a lot of money for those seats, so I doubt they would do anything to ruin that.
Yeah.
But people higher up, they didn't pay so much money, you know?
They've got less to lose.
Exactly. Um, I don't know where that dude that charged Seth Rollins was sitting though. He could have been sitting front row.
He was sitting ramp side, I think.
Yeah,
Well, I
so
mean, I guess I don't know. I came from the ramp.
yeah, maybe my hypothesis is wrong.
Maybe the higher up, the more respectful they are.
Maybe. I mean, we have seen at baseball games, like you're in the nosebleeds. People are respectful more so than being further down.
Yeah, because people aren't there for the spectacle. People are there because they're like, don't buy nosebleed seats if you don't really fucking care.
Yeah.
You know?
Um. All right. So then we had Rampage. Finally, it was the last show of the week. We started off with Aussie Open versus Top Flight versus Dark Order versus BCC. BCC picks up the win. A pretty fun match. We had Riho versus Emi Sakura. Great stuff. Powerhouse Hobbs versus Serpentico. Like 5 seconds, I think. Then we had this really great promo from Mark Briscoe. And
No, it was sad.
it was sad, but it was like also a bit funny because of his delivery. And so he opens the promo by saying, like, he says, "Man, I saw there was a tag team battle royal, so I ran out to help my brother. But then I forgot that Jay is upstairs. He's with the Lord. Then I saw Josh Woods, and I started beating the shit out of him." It's good to see that like he's still like putting some humor into his stuff.
And like, what else is he gonna do?
Yeah.
Can't be healthy to be like, just I don't know. Like, I don't want to say it can't be healthy to be like depressed the whole time, but like,
Hmm.
I'm sure that this is probably an outlet. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. And then Lucha Bros walk in. They've got Mark Briscoe's back. And tomorrow at the pre-show, it's going to be Mark Briscoe and the Lucha Bros versus Ari Daivari and the Varsity Athletes, which is Tony Nese and Josh Woods.
Weren't the Lucha Bros supposed to be heels?
No, I don't think so.
The Hammer?
Hammer?
When they were going up
Oh.
against the Elite. And, like, Penta was like, "Yeah, Phoenix, use the hammer." And Phoenix was like,
No, Pac
"No!"
was the one who was telling him to do it.
Yeah, but Penta was like, "Chill with it." And Phoenix was like, "Nah." And we thought that Phoenix and Penta were gonna break up, and we were, like, really nervous about that.
Penta just didn't want to get on Pac's bad side.
Pac was a bad influence.
I don't know where Pac is though. I don't know if is he injured?
Maybe?
I feel like after that ladder match might be.
I don't even know if Tony knows where he is actually at this point.
Right. Pac injury. AEW President Tony Khan announced Pac is currently sidelined with an ankle injury. Pac hasn't wrestled since AEW Revolution. Oh no,
That's old.
yeah, that's old. Yeah, that's March of that's 1 year ago.
It's either old or it's predicting the future.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, there's nothing. Oh, November 24th, 2022, Pac wrestled on Dynamite with injury he sustained at Full Gear. Oh, that was before they finished their best of 7. So I don't know.
Maybe he's
There's
taking time off to deal with the injury, though.
the broken nose, yeah. Maybe getting
Yeah.
surgery.
He wanted that new nose.
Yeah. And then we finished the night with Mogul Affiliates versus Dustin Rhodes and Keith Lee, which, was fine.
Yo, Keith Lee's new fucking getup, though.
I like it. I love it.
I'm down with it.
Very anime.
It's very Keith Lee.
Mm-hmm. This is what he needs, though.
So,
He needs to embrace his own personality.
it's funny. I think there's like it's either MMA or UFC or I don't know if that's an oxymoron. Um, but there's another athlete in that kind of like sport
Mm-hmm.
named Keith Lee, and it was very confusing when I saw him on Twitter. I was like, "No, you're not." I'm being lied to.
Okay, so that's Rampage. Let's talk about the top 5 matches of the week before we move on. And remember, if you got a question for us, please leave it in the chat now, and we'll answer them as we do the predictions and the little activity we've got. All right, so real quick, we'll make this super fast. Top 5 matches of the week, starting with the best match, which in my opinion is I'd say Motor City Machine Guns versus Bullet Club.
Okay, that was a really good match. So,
And then I'd say the Face of the Revolution ladder match.
that was like fucking really good.
Then probably Zack Sabre Jr. versus Blake Christian.
I'm certainly not gonna say no.
And then Josh Woods versus Takeshita.
Okay.
And then I'd say Claudio versus AR Fox. No. Shane Hayes versus Mike Bailey.
Okay. Crazy that we would say that, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about predictions. So you are currently the prediction champion. After both what was it? What was the last one? Elimination Chamber and Battle in the Valley. We tied on both, which I didn't realize for Battle in the Valley. We made the exact same predictions for every single match. So you're still the champ. And we'll see. We'll see if I can dethrone you today. Autumn Wind West is asking, what women's match would you add to the AEW Revolution pre-show? I believe there is only one on the pay-per-view. There is only one.
That's the one on the pay-per-view? Is it Jamie versus Saraya?
And Ruby.
Oh, and Ruby.
I
Um,
Jade defending that belt. Should be on the main card, but if we're talking pre-show, maybe Jade versus Emi Sakura or Riho. Riho.
I would. This is a hard one. For a dollar, name a woman. I feel like Tony Khan. Yeah, I would probably put Jade, but I just want Jade to. I would only do Jade if I could go back in time and like do a ton of like promo shit
hmm
to lead up to it because I feel like Jade gets like tossed with like random ass talent. Like Jade versus I don't know, like somebody like I don't want to discredit like the people that she's been fighting, but like she
hmm
fights like a lot of like D tier
Yeah,
in terms of like standings.
they give her dark talent.
Yeah, and I would like put her up against like somebody like I don't know, Penelope.
Yeah, I'd say Riho, but that's a main card match right there.
Yeah.
Maybe
See, I would put one of the men's matches on the pre-show and then I'd put another women's match on the actual main card.
yeah, but like just add another match. We know Tony's not objecting to that, but probably the Iron Man, the 60-minute Iron Man match will have some effect on
Oh.
that. But if we're talking just pre-show and like what would fit a pre-show, maybe you know what, a women's Face of the Revolution ladder match. There
Mm.
you go. There you go. Winner
Yeah.
faces Jade. Put Tony
Yeah.
Storm on it. Put let's see who's on the women's roster. Um,
Britt.
put Britt on there. No, yeah, put Britt.
If you're putting Tony.
Um, so yeah, Tony. Why is this like okay? God damn it, keeps like moving backwards. Put the bunny on there. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know if she's
She's injured. But
okay.
let's live in our fantasy world here for a little bit.
Yeah, so Britt, Tony, Bunny, Cheetah, um, Penelope, um, Willow, and Ty. There you go.
Ty's also injured.
Is she?
Yeah.
Okay.
She apparently has a protrusion on her back.
Oh. Oh God.
She said that she's been dealing with it for 10 years now. She kind of like knows like what to do, but like it's sidelined her.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm. So
it's not fun.
maybe Nyla Rose instead. She'd be
Oh, I haven't
killer.
seen Nyla in so long.
Yeah.
I
She's
miss a
just
good Nyla promo.
she's still just doing dark. Is lame. She's so good.
She is.
Um. Yeah. They definitely. It's weird that they only have one pre-show match, but I feel like they'll add another one today. In fact, maybe we'll keep an eye on Twitter just to be safe. I feel like they could add one tomorrow. All right, so let's talk about some predictions. As always with our predictions, we predict on the winners of each match, and for every incorrect prediction, we will do a dab of hot sauce. And whoever gets the most correct predictions, the most points at the end of the show, will be dubbed the new Pinfall Podcast Prediction Champion or retain the championship. This is the beautiful egg that has since been disgraced. You've got a lip stain on it. Can't see it on camera at all.
You can kind of see it.
No, it's pixelated on my end.
Um, I just want everyone to know that the egg and I have had our time in the sun.
How old's that egg?
Old?
Yeah, how old? Legal?
Don't make this weird.
You said you had your time in the sun with the egg, so I think you made it
But
weird first.
I didn't say I had biblical relations with the egg.
The kiss on it says otherwise.
Has your mother never kissed you with lipstick on the little forehead or something?
Anyway,
On the
anyway,
cheek? Have you not
anyway,
received love in
any
27 years?
let's don't reveal my age like that.
You're not even 27.
Gonna be this year.
Well, now you've revealed your age.
Um. Oh, there's a special Saturday Night Dark today. Gonna have Lee Moriarty, Matt Hardy, and Isaiah Cassidy versus the Lucha Bros and Mark Briscoe.
Did you see that Lee Moriarty said, I want to fight Zack Sabre Jr.? And I was like, bitch, me too. Get in line.
Huh. All right, so prediction time. Pre-show. Mark Briscoe and Lucha Bros versus Ari Daivari and Varsity Athletes. Who do you got?
Mark Briscoe and Lucha Bros.
Yeah, it seems like a very, very easy one. A lot of these are going to be like full confidence in them. This one might be different though. Christian Cage versus Jack Perry.
Jack Perry.
I'm going with Jack Perry too. Considering it's called the Final Burial, I don't think they're going to book the burial of Jack Perry like that.
Yeah. It'd be fucked up if they did.
Yeah. So then we've got Chris Jericho versus Ricky Starks. Also, going back to that last match, I think they just want Jack Perry to move on from this feud and start something
Yeah.
new.
You blame them?
All right, Chris Jericho versus Ricky Starks.
Ricky.
I am going Chris Jericho. I think
Okay.
JAS being banned from ringside is gonna say something. I think a little certain someone that's not technically part of JAS yet is gonna come out and help Jericho. I think Action Andretti is gonna side with Jericho.
You think he's going over to JAS
Oh
after
yeah,
beating Jericho?
yeah, yep.
Mhm.
Um, or maybe it'll be someone else that's not Andretti, but I think someone will come out and aid Jericho. Um, and they've also been doing this feud in reverse, kind of. They started off with Ricky beating Jericho and kind of have been going backwards. And if they're going back to like where the feud would have started, you'd have Jericho coming out on top of Ricky.
Okay.
All right, so then we have the Elite versus the House of Black for the trios titles.
This is kind of a difficult one.
It is because it's dependent on stuff behind the scenes that we are not privy to.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with House of Black.
Okay, I'm going with the Elite. I feel like if the Elite are booking them to lose the titles, they would give them something a little better.
Maybe.
Considering the booking they gave Kenny losing the AEW belt. All right, next we've got Jamie Hayter versus Saraya versus Ruby Soho. To me, this match is not like the title is kind of second priority in this feud, and this is more so like where's Ruby gonna side?
Yeah.
That's what matters.
I think Jamie's gonna win.
Yeah, I agree. I think if she's gonna lose it, it's not gonna be in a triple threat.
No.
And we also haven't had Britt turn on her yet.
That's coming down the pike.
Yeah, she was literally asked in an interview when she's gonna turn on Jamie.
Oh, was she?
Yeah. I don't
Um,
know what she said though, but I know she was
there was
asked
just
that.
there was this moment where it was like Jamie was talking about like, oh, there's one person who really deserves a shot at this title, blah blah blah. And it wasn't like Britt like looked like she expected Jamie to say her face, but like her face. her name. Um, but when she didn't, it sort of felt like, "Mm,
Hmm.
okay," you know?
Yeah.
Or maybe girls can just be friends, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. All right. So next we have the one that's actually like the only one that's like up in the air. John Moxley versus Adam Page.
I'm going with Adam Page.
I am too. I think it would be such a disservice if Mox won, especially after the whole CM Punk stuff. Um, I think this has to be Hangman's, especially with the concussion story.
Yeah.
All right, so next we have Samoa Joe versus Wardlow. I think I'll wait till you give your answer before I start justifying.
Um,
Bless you. Bless you.
Sorry, I knew that was coming, and I was trying to, like, not talk because I knew if I started talking, I would distract from my sneeze. Anyways, now that I've sneezed for the 40th time today, I think I'm gonna go with Wardlow.
Yeah, because especially knowing who the next in line is, Hobbs, it only makes sense because Hobbs and Wardlow have history.
Yeah,
But I do think Hobbs will beat Wardlow. I think that's gonna happen. Who won
I would
the
hope.
Who won the last Revolution ladder match? Scorpio?
No,
No,
that was Wardlow, wasn't it?
it was. Did Scorpio win 2021?
Yeah, I think so. I
Man,
know
that
he won, but I just don't. I think it was 2021.
was a while ago.
Time flies.
Wait, really Wardlow? Yes, because last year Revolution was CM Punk versus MJF.
Oh yeah, the dog collar match. Yeah,
AEW moves so slowly.
yeah,
They gotta pick shit up. Oh my god.
yeah.
The fact that CM Punk versus MJF was last year. Insane. All right, next we have the Guns versus the Acclaimed versus Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, Triple J versus Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. Probably will be the funniest match on the card.
Yeah. Um, I this is a hard one, but I think it's the Guns.
I think so too.
I don't think that they would just take it off of them so quickly.
Yeah, and I think they just booked all this so that the Guns could still retain against the Acclaimed, get a really funny match out of it.
Yeah.
Because the story with the Guns and the Acclaimed, I think, will not wrap up in a fatal four-way match.
Yeah.
But you never know. Tony Khan's booking. Never know. All right, and then finally MJF versus Bryan Danielson. Now, I think we are in agreement here. But let me ask you this instead: is there any chance in hell, any, that Bryan Danielson wins?
I don't think so.
Not like this is 100% MJF.
I think
Not
so.
even 90, 99 and 1%.
I mean, maybe 99 and 1, but I don't think that there's much of a chance at all that much of a meaningful chance that Danielson wins. What? What?
Oh, I heard that. Yeah, I think I don't think it's possible unless there was like news today that MJF's contract was up today or tomorrow.
No, I don't think so. Which would be interesting news, but I don't think so.
Yeah. Um I wish AEW would book more like uncertain matches. more edge of your seat matches instead of this is a guaranteed 5-star match, but at the same time, you know who wins because we make it so obvious.
Yeah.
Hopefully we don't all get 100%. I mean, it's guaranteed. One of us won't get 100% since we have some different.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that none of us come out with 100%. Because that would be
I
boring.
hope I do.
Okay. All right.
I like
So
winning.
those are our predictions for Revolution, which we will be doing a live watch along tomorrow. I think it starts at 7
That would make sense.
for the pre-show. All right. So let's talk about the little activity that we had, or that we have. So it's March, meaning March Madness. And I thought, in the spirit of March Madness, let's do a bracket. And I figured every week we'll do a different bracket. We'll start off with this one, the best wrestler ever. And this is based off of Cage Match's top rated wrestlers of all time. And I grabbed the names that we would know. Like we wouldn't know so much Kenta Kobashi. Like we don't know his career very well. So there are some names that are like, definitely not greatest of all time. But it's highest rated on there. They are highest rated on there, so we added it in here. So let me quickly list off all the names that we have. And this is in order. We've got Okada, Andrade, Gunther, Kyle O'Reilly, Steve Austin, Pac, AJ Styles, Trish Stratus, Tomohiro Ishii, Kenta, Hiromu Takahashi, Ted DiBiase, Edge, Will Ospreay, The Rock, Sami Zayn, Hiroshi Tanahashi, MJF, Chris Jericho, Adam Page, Io Sky, Jay Briscoe, Shibata, Josh Alexander, Bret Hart, Hikaru Shida, Shingo Takagi, Butch, CM Punk, Ric Flair, Kevin Owens, Shinsuke Nakamura, Shawn Michaels, William Regal, Eddie Guerrero, Keith Lee, Minoru Suzuki, Kushida, Tetsuya Naito, Zack Sabre Jr., Kota Ibushi, Ilya Dragunov, Kairi, Johnny Gargano, Konosuke Takeshita, Samoa Joe, Claudio Castagnoli, Randy Savage, Bryan Danielson, Mercedes Moné, Kenny Omega, Mike Bailey, Undertaker, Seth Rollins, Kurt Angle, Bandito, Asuka, Alex Shelley, Ray Phoenix, Tyler Bate, Penta El Zero Miedo, Vince McMahon, Mick Foley, and Sting. And yes, I did include Vince McMahon because he is very highly rated on Cage Match for some reason. I mean, he has had some great matches, like with The Rock. All right, so who went to your second round? Just quickly list off the names there, and I'll see where we differ.
Do you want to do one quadrant at a time?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
So it's a little more digestible.
Yeah.
So I've got Kazuch beating Andrade. We've got Gunther beating Kyle.
Okay, we agree on both of those.
We've got Steve Austin beating Pac.
Okay.
Got AJ beating Trish. I'm sorry, Trish.
Agree there.
I've got Kenta beating Ishii. I've got Hiromu beating Ted.
Agree on that as well, both of those.
I've got Ospreay beating Edge. And I've got Sammy beating The Rock.
You've got Sammy beating The Rock.
Yeah, I don't know. The Rock just doesn't do it for me, and I did mine opinion based.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
This really isn't, for me, this isn't the best wrestler ever. For me, this is my favorite wrestler ever.
So, I did do best wrestler ever, but there is also opinion mixed in. We agree on every single one of those except Sammy beating The Rock. I put The Rock because of A, what he was able to accomplish in such a small amount of time, and B, I think in their primes, The Rock's ceiling was much higher than Sammy's.
Okay, that's fair.
And although Sammy, I feel like, has the most variety under his belt, The Rock, he's so iconic that it's so, like, there's a reason he's so iconic, and it's because his ceiling was so high. It's because the presentation that he brought with him. It's the how unmatched he was on the mic. All right, so how about quadrant 2? I feel like we're really going to disagree here.
Yeah, I actually disagree already with one of the things I wrote. I've got MJF beating Tanahashi.
What?
Yeah, I don't know
What?
why I wrote that.
What? MJF?
Honestly, because this isn't a prediction, I can change whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah,
Um,
change it.
yeah, no, I did these at separate times, so I may not have been in the same headspace that I'm in right now. We got Adam Page beating Jericho.
Really?
I don't like Chris Jericho.
But then, okay, then we're really gonna disagree on a lot of stuff.
I've got you Sky beating Jay Briscoe, which I'm not totally. That was a hard one
Really?
for me. I just really I respect her a lot as a female wrestler. Um, I got Shibata beating Alexander.
Really?
Yes,
I mean, I mean that.
Shibata going a long way.
I mean that's like that's fair of you because phenomenal wrestler. It's some of the best matches of all time. But that's just one I personally disagree with.
Okay. I've got Bret Hart beating Hikaru Shida. I'm sorry, Hikaru.
Fair, but we
Um,
disagree. We disagree there.
wow. Um, this one was hard for me, especially because I don't like calling him Butch.
Hmm.
And it feels weird given what Butch has done as Butch, as opposed to as Pete Dunne, that I'm like seeing him here. But I have Butch beating Shingo.
How?
Yeah. And then I've got Punk beating Ric Flair,
Okay, only one we agree on so far.
and I've got Shinsuke beating Kevin Owens.
Wow, we only agreed on one for that quadrant. Unless you changed MJF to Tanahashi.
I did. I changed that to Tanahashi, so we agree on
Okay.
that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I had Tanahashi over MJF. I had Jericho over Adam Page because the legacy Jericho's left is phenomenal, especially considering he's still going to this day. Um, I had Jay Briscoe over Io Sky because of how much he revolutionized tag team wrestling. I had Josh Alexander over Shibata just because Josh brings a lot more to the table promo wise than Shibata does. I've got Shida over Brett. I do think Brett's a little bit overrated.
Okay.
I've got Shingo over Butch. That's personal preference. I got Punk over Ric Flair. I do think Flair's a little overrated, but
I think Flair's really overrated.
and I've got Kevin Owens over Shinsuke, which that's another one that's personal preference.
I really thought that we'd agree on more things.
I think I think that was like just the one quadrant that we won't agree. Although the last quadrant maybe we will disagree even more, but
No, I think we'll have some more trouble. Um,
all right, third
you
quadrant.
want to go into the next one? Yeah.
Yeah,
So I've got Shawn Michaels over Regal.
same.
I've got Eddie over Keith Lee.
Yep.
Guerrero. I just wrote Eddie. I feel like when I say Eddie, I think of Kingston.
Mm,
I've got Minoru over Kushida.
agreed.
I've got Zack over Naito.
Agreed.
I've got Kota over Ilya.
Agreed.
I've got Kyrie over Johnny.
Same.
I've got Takeshita over Samoa
Oh,
Joe.
we disagree there.
Yeah, sorry. And I've got Claudio over Randy Savage.
Really? That I did not think you would do that one. I thought you'd pick Savage.
That was one of those ones where it was like a zero-sum difference for me. So I just kind of chose the one that appealed to me more.
Okay.
Ultimately, with both of them, I'm just like, meh, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had Michaels, Eddie Guerrero, Suzuki, Zack Sabre Jr., Kota Ibushi, Kyrie, and then it was like the last two matchups. I had Joe going over to Takeshita and Randy Savage over Claudio. Because I don't think
Okay.
I do think like in almost every aspect, Savage just like barely ekes over Claudio. Promo.
Well, that's what I'm saying by like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, no, that's what I'm saying is like, as far as like a zero-sum difference is concerned, like, just barely did I choose Claudio over Randy.
Okay. All right. Last quadrant of the first round.
All right, so my last quadrant of the first round is Danielson over Monet.
Agreed.
Kenny over Mike Bailey.
Agreed. That's a tough one, but yeah.
That was a hard one. Seth over Undertaker.
Agreed.
Um, Bandito over Kurt Angle.
Ooh, very much disagree.
That was a hard one for me. Um, I chose Alex Shelley over Asuka.
Really? I thought you'd pick Asuka.
Call me Tony Khan. Um, I chose Phoenix over Tyler Bate, which was also really hard for me.
Disagreed.
I chose Penta over Vince McMahon.
Agreed.
And I chose Sting over Mick Foley, which was really hard for me.
Oh, that's I could see why you do that, but I disagree. I was torn
That's
on that
fair.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went Danielson, Omega, Rollins. I can't pick Bandito over Kurt Angle. I I think Kurt Angle just excels in every way over Bandito. Asuka, I don't know how you picked Alex Shelley over Asuka. I can't see how that would be possible. Asuka's just one of the best women's wrestlers of all time. I could see why you'd pick Phoenix over Tyler Bate, but for me, Tyler Bate's age and being able to accomplish so much in such a small amount of time is what puts him over for me. Agreed with Penta over Vince. Mick Foley over Sting. Huh?
Like, that was a really tough one.
Yeah, that could have gone either way. I
Um,
think what Mick Foley did for deathmatch wrestling is understated.
that's fair.
All right, let's talk about round 2. Now, this one will be like, this is where we will disagree a lot, I feel like. All right, so where
Yeah.
did your round 2 go?
So we had Kazuchika versus Gunther, and I chose Kazuchika.
Agreed.
We had Steve Austin versus AJ Styles. I chose AJ.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had Kenta versus Hiromu. I chose Hiromu.
Oh, interesting.
And we had Will Ospreay versus Sami Zayn, and I chose Ospreay.
Okay, we agree on Osprey going to the next round. I had Austin going over AJ.
Okay.
I think that's probably the only case, in my opinion, where legacy trumps everything.
Okay. That's fair. I was not thinking about legacy quite as much, so.
Okay. Yeah, you said yours was all personal preference, which is fine.
Yes, it is.
All right, what about the next quadrant?
Next quadrant, we had Tanahashi versus Adam Page. I chose Tana.
Okay.
We then had Io Sky for me versus Shibata, and I chose Shibata.
Mm-hmm.
We then had Bret Hart versus Butch, and I chose Butch.
Interesting choice. Okay.
We had CM Punk versus Shinsuke, and I chose Shinsuke.
Yeah, our second round of that quadrant is entirely different. So I have Tanahashi versus Jericho. I had Jericho coming out on top. Jay Briscoe versus Josh Alexander. I have Jay Briscoe coming out. I have Shida versus Shingo. I have Shingo coming out. And then Punk versus Kevin Owens, and I've got Punk coming out on top.
Damn, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
So quadrant 3.
Next one. I had Shawn Michaels versus Eddie Guerrero. I chose Eddie.
Really? Okay.
Then we have Minoru versus Zack. I chose Zack.
Figures. If you put Zack over Shawn Michaels, I swear to God, there's gonna be outrage.
Well, no, it's Eddie. It's not Shawn.
Oh, that's right. Wait, so you would have Zack go over Eddie? I think Zack would even.
I said personal preference, didn't I?
Zack would even be pissed off at you.
Oh, he can suck an egg. Well, he wouldn't. He's vegan.
All right, what else? What else do you have?
I've got Coda versus Kyrie. I chose Coda.
Okay, agreed.
And I've got Takeshita versus Claudio, and I chose Takeshita.
Okay, I have Shawn Michaels coming out over Eddie. As much of a shame as it is that Eddie passed, I think Michaels and the amount of time that he was around in his peak, it was so revolutionary. And then I had Suzuki coming out of Zack Sabre Jr. because of legacy. And then yeah, I had Coda coming out of over Kyrie, and then Randy Savage coming out over Samoa Joe. Quadrant 4.
Okay, so I've got Danielson versus Kenny, and I've got Danielson.
Agreed.
I've got Rollins versus Bandito, and I've got Rollins.
Agreed.
I've got Shelley versus Phoenix, and I've got Shelley.
Okay.
And then I've got Penta versus Sting, and I chose Sting.
Okay. Yeah, agree on the first half. Danielson and Rollins coming out, advancing. And then I have Asuka and Mick Foley advancing.
Okay.
All right.
Now,
Quarterfinals.
quarterfinals. Should I just go through all of these? Because now it's like...
Yeah.
So, I've got Kazuchika versus AJ, and I chose Kazuchika.
Okay.
I've got Hiromu versus Ospreay. I chose Ospreay.
Okay, we agree of Ospreay advancing, and Okada and Ospreay both advancing.
Yeah, very much. I've seen this film before. And I didn't like the ending. Thank you, Taylor Swift. Then we've got Tana versus Shibata for me, and I chose Shibata.
Oh, really?
Because I'm a big Shibata fan.
Okay.
We've got Butch versus Shinsuke. I chose Butch.
Ow.
We've got Eddie Guerrero versus Zack Sabre Jr.
Uh-huh.
And I chose Zack. I've got Kota versus Takeshita, and I've got Kota. I've got Bryan Danielson versus Seth Rollins. I chose Danielson.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got Shelley versus Sting, and I chose Stang.
Okay. Yeah, I've got Okada and Ospreay moving forward. I had Jericho versus Jay Briscoe, and I had Chris Jericho moving forward. I had Shingo versus CM Punk, and I have Punk going forward. Shawn Michaels versus Minoru Suzuki, and of course I had Shawn Michaels advance. I had Kota Ibushi versus Randy Savage, and Savage advanced. We agreed on Danielson moving forward against Rollins, but I had Asuka come out over Mick Foley.
Oh, very cool.
All right, so semifinals.
All right, so I've got Kazuchika versus Ospreay. I chose Ospreay. I've got Shibata
Agree.
versus Butch. I chose Shibata.
Okay.
I've got Zack versus Kota. I chose Zack.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Bryan Danielson versus Sting, and I chose Sting.
Ow. Okay.
Big Sting fan.
Yeah, I've got Ospreay coming out over Okada. I've got Chris Jericho coming out over CM Punk. I've got Shawn Michaels coming out over Randy Savage, and I've got Bryan Danielson coming out over Asuka. So, the semifinal.
I've got Ospreay versus Shibata. Chose Ospreay. I've got Zack versus Sting, and I chose Zack.
So Zack, you have not only said that Zack Sabre Jr. is better than Eddie Guerrero, you also said he's better than Sting. Which I'm not gonna lie, Zack Sabre Jr. is phenomenal. But don't you think it might be getting a little carried away?
No. I don't.
Okay. Well.
I never said I was good at making brackets, okay? The first time I ever made a bracket was for March Madness, and I had the University of Las Vegas losing in one of the, like, first rounds, and then coming back in the quarterfinals, okay?
Okay.
I'm bad at these. I like
I mean,
them.
this is all personal opinion, so I mean, you can't say you're bad at it. All right, so my semifinal, I have Ospreay going against Jericho, and I have Jericho going out on top. And then I have Shawn Michaels against Danielson, and I have Bryan Danielson moving forward.
Ooh, okay.
So what's your final? Before you
Ospreay versus Sabre Jr.
don't say who won it. Ospreay versus Danielson. Oh no, Ospreay versus
Nope.
Zack. Ospreay versus Zack.
Zack.
I have Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson.
Ooh, okay. So you've got AW and I've got NJPW.
Yeah. Who was your best wrestler of all time? You don't even need to say it. I know who it is. Because I know you wouldn't pick Will Ospreay.
No, I wouldn't.
I'm surprised Will Ospreay made it that far. Anyway.
I am fair.
Are you
Let's see.
fair? Are you? Because you had Zach go over Eddie Guerrero. Are you fair?
Uh, there.
You had Alex Shelley go over Asuka.
But I stand by that.
Why? What's your
Alex
reasoning?
Shelley did so much for tag team wrestling.
And Asuka did so much for women's wrestling, something that's still very much underrepresented. Are you saying tag teams are better than women?
New stance. It's not men are better than women. Tag teams are better than women. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. My final was Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson, and Danielson I have coming out on top.
Okay, that's probably fair.
So I have Bryan Danielson as my best wrestler of all time, and you have Zack Sabre Jr. as your best wrestler of all time.
You know what? They're probably gonna have a match again sometime soon.
Yeah, so that'll truly be the greatest dream match of all time. Is gonna go down probably at Forbidden Door in maybe a 10-minute match.
Fuck off.
Maybe under 10 minutes.
Zach did a slutty little pose the other day, and he was like, "You watching Danielson?" And I was like, "Oh god."
Well,
Oh man.
well, that's that. Maybe we'll do. What should we do next week?
Tag teams.
Tag teams? Because FTR just did. Dax Harwood just did tag teams on his Twitter.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna say I'm better than Dax, but that word almost came out of my mouth.
We could do tag teams. We could do championships.
I feel like people are easier for me to judge than items.
Wow. Easy for you to judge people.
I think it's a little easier to judge a person
First you
than a belt.
you find judging people easy. You think tag teams are better than women.
You know? Not liking the vibe lately.
All right. Well, we'll be live tomorrow for our live watch along of Revolution.
Whether you like it or not.
Liz, would you like to close out the show?
Sure. If you tuned in today, thank you so much. And if you tune in the future, I'm sorry that I said the tag teams are better than women. Please don't hold it against me. The more I say it, the more I feel like I believe it. Like, not like I don't actually believe it, but I feel like that it sounds more like I do. Which is going to become a problem. Please tune in tomorrow. It'll be super fun. We'll have hot sauce. Hopefully my tummy doesn't hurt as much as it did today, because that will make the hot sauce a lot less fun. But yeah, it's going to be a great time. And we look forward to seeing you there.
Yep. Follow us on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Spotify. It's all Pinfall Podcast. Yeah, join us tomorrow for AEW Revolution. And remember to ask us a question on our YouTube in the comments. We'll answer it in the next show. If you're asking it today, we'll get to it tomorrow for Revolution. Ideally, this goes out on YouTube today. But yeah, join us for Revolution. It's gonna be a great old time. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We'll bash some AEW together or enjoy some AEW together. Either way, it'll be a great time. Have a great rest of your Saturday. We will see you tomorrow for AEW. Bye-bye.